I have changed my pants after spilling all over them in the first 10 seconds of recording.
Woo!
For once in my life, it's not my fault. This can is real fizzy or out to get me. You'd think I would have learned my lesson with the previous 2 cans in the six-pack.
The previous 2 cans did it, not just 1?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to return those. I'm taking them back to the
I'm going to drink them still.
Okay.
Okay.
You have to open them over the sink from now on, though.
We're going to return them and open them in front of the clerk.
Yeah. Watch.
Poor person. Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot to tell you this. When I was at the store buying those, I overheard the clerk talking to a customer about how they both think that like aliens are real, but like to which degree they think aliens are real.
Oh my God.
Like the woman, she was like, well, I just, I don't think the aliens, if they were like, I think they are real, but I don't think they're just like here kind of messing with us with no agenda. And he's like, oh, well, I think they have an agenda. I just don't know what it is. And I was like,
which agenda?
I know. I got to know.
Any pre-boxed agenda.
I could be anything.
Liberal agenda.
Gay
agenda. What other agendas do we hear about? Striking teacher agenda.
2024 agenda for that you write all the things you got to do in and all your appointments. I don't know. I like planners.
Yeah. Aliens do too, apparently.
Yeah. Feminist agenda, all that kind of stuff.
Gotta love something that is just like, someone says something like that where it can be for fun, but it's got zero basis in anything.
I know.
Like, yeah, I firmly believe they're here, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Let's not work backwards from that.
No. Anyway, I just enjoyed that.
Their agenda, the aliens, is to give you an entirely fizzy 6-pack.
Yeah. They're fucking with our beer.
So you spill it all over yourself, recording your podcast, and you have to reveal to the entire world that you're drinking while you're recording.
Mm-hmm. And you get the message out that aliens are real.
Yep.
That way.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I feel like a pawn.
Hello, and welcome to Cold Crit.
That's right. We're no longer Untitled Podcast with Art. We've been teasing it for 2 episodes. The day is here. We changed our name.
It's Cold Crit now.
We're making a way bigger deal out of this than anyone else cares for.
I just don't believe in people, and I should, but I don't.
No. I mean, we have like new viewers, listeners, because
don't say our stats on air. They're not good.
Okay. We have like a handful of new viewers, listeners, because we put
That's
the word
somehow worse.
Handful. What if you have big hands?
Okay.
How big is your listener? Is it the person? Is the idea of them?
Big hand, yeah. Okay.
We have more listeners than we're used to, thanks to we're pretty sure it's because we put the word Mangione in a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. People are thirsty for Mangione content.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about his 8-pack quite a bit.
Which also explains why there's so much Mangione fan art out there.
Yeah. Anyway, those people will be very confused when A, we're not talking about Luigi Mangione for a 3rd episode in a row, and B, we have a new title.
Yes, but my name has stayed the same. I'm Kris.
You sure? Chance to rebrand. What else could it be?
After this episode, I might want to. We will discuss why.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm still Simon.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
And what are we talking about this week, Simon?
We are talking about an event that you and I try pretty hard to avoid even knowing when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about the Super Bowl. Specifically, Super Bowl ads. Specifically, one Super Bowl ad in particular.
1 2-part Super Bowl ad.
And a bunch of shorts, because apparently now ads have to have their own.
No, that's pretty normal.
Shorts. Yeah, I know. I work at an ad
place.
I should know this. I just...
Yeah, we did this kind of stuff all the time when I worked for an ad agency.
I want to avoid facing this particular abyss on the weekend when I'm not working.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the Meta Ray-Ban Super Bowl ad that contained both Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pratt and Kris Jenner. And this is why I'm thinking about changing my name, because there are now 4 Chris's involved in this whole thing. And maybe it's just easier if...
Should I be Kris too?
Yeah. Can rename the cat.
Yeah. It's like that Seen in Being John Malkovich, where everyone's Malkovich.
Yeah.
I reference that all the time, and I know you haven't seen it.
Yeah. I've seen a little bits of it.
You've seen the part where everyone's Malkovich.
Yeah. No.
Okay. We'll watch just that part.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I don't watch sports. I have zero interest in Super Bowl and all that. I think it's insane that people say, I just like to watch it for the advertisements. I spend so much of my life trying to avoid being advertised to.
How many of those people do you think have ad blockers?
None of them.
People do, right? The whole selling point of Safari is like it blocks some ads for you in trackers.
I have used like other people's like phones and internet and stuff and been like, oh my God, this is what having no ad blocker is like. This is crazy. How do you live like this?
I feel like if we were an ad supported show, we would be speaking differently about this.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
Nor do we plan to. We have a Patreon. Check it out.
Yeah. If you don't want us to ever have ads, maybe go throw a few bucks to that Patreon. So yeah, the reason I learned about this is because I have a Google alert set up for Justin's son's name because I love to keep up with that weird little fucker's doing.
Surprise, it's not part 3 of Luigi Mangione. It is literally part 3 of Justin's son.
Justin's son, part 3. No. Not really.
Sorry to get your hopes up.
But Banana Taped to Wall was going to be...
What's it called?
Sorry, Comedian.
Yeah, the student becomes the teacher.
Oh, yeah, okay. I know more about this stupid fucking banana.
I remember every time you've corrected me.
I know.
In our entire relationship.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the moment to correct you back.
Okay. So that's why I knew that this ad was coming and that it was going to like be set in a quote unquote art gallery. And that it was something that we needed to pay attention to. So after the Super Bowl, I went and I watched them and found that there's a lot here to discuss.
Take us into it. Take us into the Kris vortex.
Yeah. So wait, actually, if you have not seen these commercials, I need you to go watch them because otherwise, like everybody, you're not going to know what we're talking about. You can find them on YouTube. I look for it's 2 different ads. The first one, I think, is usually published under the title Art Print Gone Wrong, which is a stupid title. And the second one...
That's such a YouTube title, too. It's like, I envision a thumbnail that has one of these famous Krises cut out going, "Wah!" YouTube face, and then in like ugly impact font block yellow with like white, and then around it black.
Honestly, it's
borders.
Not that different. I feel like those are the like stills that they use.
Yeah, prank gone wrong.
Yeah. The second one is titled like Who Eats Art or something. We'll post also like on our Instagram and links and stuff where we can. So you might be able to find it that way. But definitely watch both of those ads and then hit play again. So the first ad in the 2-parter, it starts with Chris Hemsworth, I believe. Again, apparently I don't really know who Chris Hemsworth is.
Are you pausing pregnantly for me to
make fun of me?
I'm making fun of you.
Okay.
I don't.
He's like Thor. Which I've never seen.
He's in,
what else is he in?
I think he's mostly known for Thor. He's in other stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a hot guy actor. He was Thor.
Yeah.
Is Thor dead? I don't know. I don't watch Marvel stuff.
I don't watch him do things. But he's the one for anybody who is like super confused by the whole Kris thing. Like I am, he's the one in the tan suit.
Well, they're hard to tell apart because all the Krises, all the humans in this are wearing the same glasses.
That's true, yeah. And it makes their faces look more similar. I have now spent so much time watching these ads that I can tell them apart. But at the beginning, I was like, I don't know who these people are and who they're supposed to be. Because Chris Pratt's also in it. He is the one in the black suit. And I didn't recognize him. And I know Chris Pratt very well, but only from Parks and Rec. I don't know him. I know he's in like Marvel movies, which I also have not watched.
I don't think he's...
Wait, is he not? Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're both Marvel people.
Yeah.
But then Kris Jenner isn't in Marvel stuff, so I don't know what she's doing there.
I really don't know who
it's the only other
she
Kris
is.
they had. They had the folks at Meta, because this ad was produced in-house, except for the video production itself. They must have had just like a surplus of Kris's lying around.
Yeah. And like they try it, and yeah, that's supposed to be like a whole joke, is like, look how many Kris's are here. And I will tell you, if you are one of the Kris's like I am in a room full of other Kris's, it's terrible when it happens to you. It's not funny. It's not cute.
It's like when we did our Velvet Buzzsaw episodes and we brought on
another Kris. We shouldn't have done it.
No, you guys were always, yeah, it was fantastic.
I love having Kris on.
We were always talking, but I'd say Kris, you'd both answer.
Yeah, we both in unison. What?
I say you want ice cream. They both say yes.
Oh yeah, nice early random core reference.
Really alienating our potential Zoomer audience.
Well, anybody who wasn't like super online as a millennial, which is a lot of people, like even millennials, not all millennials know that stuff, or Gen Xers. Anyway, Kris Hemsworth is standing in an art gallery. There's a sculpture in front of him. Simon, can you describe this sculpture?
It is a kind of heavyset dude in a hoodie. He is like, it's all kind of bluish, greenish gray. It's made of wax. He's like seated at a table with his hands folded, and he seems to be one large candle with many wicks. They're all lit, and he is beginning to melt. Some of the wax is dripping down his temples and into his face.
Yeah. So Hemsworth asks Meta, his little Meta Ray-Ban glasses.
Wait, we should explain what these glasses are. Yeah.
Yeah, what? I didn't even know these were on the market until this commercial. So, Simon, want to explain what the Meta Ray-Ban glasses are and what they do?
I'm glad you asked me, Kris, one of many Kris's, because I ran into these in the wild on a real person just last week.
Inconceivable.
I know. They are Ray-Ban glasses that they have Meta AI built into them, and then they have cameras. So that place where the stems of the glasses, the legs, the things that go behind your ears.
I don't know glasses anatomy.
I wear glasses every day of my life. I don't know what's in them.
It's on like the outer edge, where the outer edge of the frame meets the leg of arm leg.
But there's a little camera on each one of them, or each side of them.
I think it's just one side. No, okay.
I don't know. There's a camera or cameras in them, and there is microphones and there's speakers. So the AI portion of this is you can look at something and say, the wake word, hey Meta, or whatever it is, like, we would say Siri or hey Google or Alexa, and ask something like, what am I looking at? And it'll do some image recognition and AI processing and give you an answer. I assume it has to go through the internet somehow. I know from having seen these in the wild, the person showed me it goes directly to your phone. So it's kind of like an Apple Watch or something where it's connected to a device. Maybe that's where the processing happens. I'm not sure. I haven't worn them. The person who showed me was very excited by it, snapped a photo of me and showed me on his phone.
Oh.
Terrible photo of me, but that's more on me than on the glasses.
Well, yeah, I've been kind of curious, like, what the lens is.
Not terrible from what I saw on a phone. The way this person described it is like it's trying to be a fashion accessory with tech built into it. But at this point, it feels a bit more like a tech accessory that happens to kind of work as a fashion accessory. The real point here is that this person was wearing them, and I was about 10 minutes into conversation with this person before I realized, oh, you're wearing those Meta Ray-Bans.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They're interesting, I guess. It's nice to see that Google Glass is all grown up.
Well, these don't have the little screens in them. Or
yeah.
So there's no actual screen that goes to your phone.
Yeah.
That'll probably come in the future. I don't know.
Oh, God, I hope not. Anyway.
Just make sure when you're talking to someone who's wearing, Buddy Holly looking Ira Glass, thick framed black Ray-Bans, check the edges to see if there's a camera in there. Because
make sure they're not surreptitiously recording you.
They could be.
They could be.
They could be.
And that is just the new reality we all have to live with, and in concert with everything else going on in our lives.
That's why you should start every conversation with, are you a cop? You got to tell me.
You got to tell me.
Are you a nerd? You got to tell me.
Just an aside, I was living in San Francisco when Google Glass came out, and the there was a punk bar kind of like
God.
down in the Lower Haight where some guy tried to go in wearing Google Glass and they kicked him out. It was this whole like internet controversy at the time. Everyone was just like, good.
That person went on to create Meta Ray-Ban.
Pretty much, yeah.
That was their origin story.
Like, yeah. I have to make these look cooler and less obviously like dork glasses.
What's up, fellow punks?
Yeah.
When there was that open test or whatever where Google Glass was unleashed upon the unsuspecting masses, as in like one nerd per like 100 in a city would have them.
Yeah.
I was riding the bus and I saw a guy at the front of the bus in clear violation of the do not talk to bus driver sign. He didn't even tap the sign.
Oh my God.
Talking to the bus driver the entire time about his Google Glass, which guess what? The bus driver didn't care.
I don't think that bus driver cared.
No. Also, these are expensive. They seem out of place on the bus. I don't want to get all the whole like class stuff here, but like,
oh no, I like when I lived in San Francisco, like rich tech people took the bus.
This is Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay, right. Never mind then. I don't. Rich people in Portland do not take the bus.
Well, they do if they want to show off their Google Glass to all the poors.
Yeah. I just remember like the day after the iPad came out, I was like on the bus and like the guy sitting next to me already had an iPad and I was like, oh my goodness, you are dedicated.
I won't even take like a Nintendo Switch on the bus.
No. This was the San Francisco to Marin bus, so it was, a little fancy.
It's essentially one of the tech campus shuttles.
A little bit, yeah.
It's a long bus ride.
Oh, yeah, it was. For an unpaid internship. Graduating in 2009 was awesome, you guys.
Definitely cannot afford an iPad.
No.
Or if you could, you're taking the bus the rest of your life.
Well, anyway.
It's either car or this iPad.
Yeah. You have to choose one. So, we ready? Or we still,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. You good?
Yeah. So Hemsworth asks Meta, he asks his glasses to identify the work and he's standing in front of the sculpture. It tells him Urs Fischer is known for his unconventional work. Great. I know so much more now. So,
that line, known for his unconventional work, like I threw my hands up when we were watching this together before we recorded. Like, what?
I know that they're trying to communicate a lot in like one sentence and a 30-second ad spot, but it did like make me mad.
It could say that about any piece of art there. Like, that would not sell Meta Ray-Bans to me. It's like, this thing doesn't know anything. It just says unconventional art. Like, I imagine someone like being all jazzed by this ad and going out and buying Meta Ray-Bans and then going to a museum and it says, Yayoi Kusama is known for unconventional art. Yoko Ono is known for unconventional art. Rembrandt is known for his conventional? I don't know. Like, what?
Yeah.
It can do one thing, art or unconventional art.
Yeah. Known for art. Unconventional art.
Like that thing in Silicon Valley where the first image recognition thing that the character creates can either recognize a hot dog,
not hot dog,
or not hot dog. Like that's the standard for computer vision.
Yep. After he asked this, like Chris Pratt is now in the picture, and the Hemsworth says, "Should we touch it?" Okay.
I like to imagine that those Ray-Bans have a little speaker that like it's not bone conducting, but it like points at your ear, so it's kind of like personal.
Why isn't it bone conducting?
The guy I was talking to was explaining it to me like
it's
got to sit a certain way. Yeah, it's got to like maintain connection. But anyway,
I asked the question, but it turns out I don't care.
Don't care. Wait, I don't care. But I like to imagine that when he asked, "Should we touch it?" It hears him and it just whispers, "Do it. Touch the art."
It's worthless. And so then the Chris's take turns posing with the sculpture and like taking photo and video. And then Chris Pratt knocks the head off on accident.
Oopsies.
Oops. So yeah, we didn't get any meaningful info about who Urs Fischer is in this 30-second ad. So let's explain a little. Urs Fischer is a Swiss contemporary of people like Jeff Koons, Maurizio Catalan. You know, he's often talked about in the same time as also like Dieter Roth and Duchamp. So I guess if you like this, go look at those. And he works in a wide range of mediums. Like everything he does is so different. He's really, really medium agnostic. But definitely what he is best known for are these large-scale wax sculptures and installations. And the one in this commercial is actually a life-size sculpture of Urs Fischer himself at this table. So that is the artist.
So one of the Krises decapitates Urs Fischer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
is that the joke? I'm trying to find the joke in this whole thing the whole time.
Well, and here's why I think especially the joke doesn't land for me is like the sculpture is meant to decapitate itself over time. So what are we looking at now?
It's an image that looks like it's the same sculpture or probably a similar one. These are wax, right? They're wax.
Yeah, they're wax.
Made from a cast, a large one, like a life-size one. But this is what looks like after it's been, the candles have been burning for probably hours at this point. The face has now sunk through the shoulders and is sitting between, well, his eyes are pretty much where his nipples would be.
Yeah, the head is on the table, like between his arms, like the Sleepy Hollow guy, you know?
The headless horseman?
Yeah, the headless, yeah. Or like in the Olympics opening ceremony when Marie Antoinette had her head in her hands and they were singing opera.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as these wax sculptures are like giant candles, and as the work melts, in this case, like the head falls down, and it is art that is meant to be destroyed. It is art that is ephemeral.
Unless you're a Kris.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, why did you choose this work for this? Like,
I mean, that almost works as a joke, though.
It doesn't.
But like an ad joke, like for the millions of people watching the Super Bowl.
For the millions of people who understand the context of this work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're here to explain it to people because the ad couldn't do that. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the ad's not trying to do that.
No,
like,
it's so annoying to me. I don't know.
Do you feel like you saw this ad and thought, is someone at Meta fucking with me? Like, am I supposed to make content to explain their ad now?
I don't know. I guess I just thought, like, I saw the ad and I was just like, well, okay, like, same jokes over and over. Like,
yeah,
you know, the can I touch it sort of like museum stuff is, it's so annoying.
Well, there's no line around any of this art.
That's true. There should be a line.
This is on whoever's collection
or
that is.
A tiny
I guess Kris Jenner's
ground rope.
Yeah.
Something.
Oh man, we'll get to it later, but sometimes the ground rope is worse than there being no rope at all.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I don't know. I love these melty. I think they look really cool as they're melting. I love that they are meant to. I love that they're like these big sculptures not meant to last. And so I want to look at a different one called Untitled 2011. I think that this is one of his most well-known works. It premiered in 2011 at the Venice Biennale. It has also shown in these images are from the Bourse de Commerce. It is French, so I don't have to try.
Like the stock exchange or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It got like a remodel, and then when it reopened with like this Urs Fischer piece in the main atrium, and it was also given like a bigger, more grand pedestal and reconfigured in a way that it couldn't be shown in the Arsenale at the Venice Biennale before. And if you look at the guy on the ground there,
we should like describe what this looks like, right?
I'm about to.
Okay, yeah.
But first, I just wanted to point out that the guy is also actually a melting wax figure. That is Fischer's longtime friend and artist, a life-size sculpture of Rudolf Stingel.
Who's he Greco-Roman wrestling with?
No, the figure on the ground, not in the statue.
Okay, so in this image,
yeah, there's the big statue.
The big open kind of rotunda space.
There are a bunch of chairs. Those are also a part of the exhibition.
I thought that Rudolph's sculpture was just like a guy for scale.
Yeah,
like he's just part of the image.
No, that's a sculpture as well. So, what can you tell me about the image that we see here?
So it's in this rotunda space, which I guess is some French stock exchange.
Bourse de commerce.
In Paris?
Yeah, in Paris.
So it's this, rotunda space. There's a big, what looks like marble pedestal, like you would see for an exterior sculpture in a park. Around that pedestal, there are a couple of different chairs that look a little melty.
Yeah, there's like a lawn chair, like one of those iconic plastic lawn chairs. I think one is like an African stool. There's just all sorts of different types of chairs.
There's a dude who's kind of standing there who I thought was just a guy there.
An actual
dude, but it's Rudolf Stingel, I guess, or a sculpture of him.
Yes.
And then on top of the pedestal that I mentioned, it looks like kind of a classical Greco-Roman wrestling sculpture, but they are melting all over each other. Like there's, in the detail image you have here, there's like a close-up of a
dump truck ass.
Kind of like that replica of Michelangelo's David.
Yeah.
That's
in Mexico City.
Yeah, is it Michelangelo?
Oh, what?
Michelangelo's David, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I messed it up last time.
Yeah. Then I was doubting it because I was like, wait, now I don't remember.
Yeah, it really looks like, I mean, I think it even puts to shame the dump truck ass on the replica
that
of Michelangelo's
thing is a
David
shelf.
in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Even in its early stages of melting wax, it's
holding up.
It's had some, let me just say, it's taken some transcontinental flights to get that ass worked on.
Yes. Yeah, so the picture, one of the images is like pre it being lit, like right before the installation. And then the close-up is a detail of what it looks like as it is melting. I love the close-up detail images. I think they're so cool. I love seeing all the like melty candle wax. It just has such a drippy quality to it.
Especially when we consider like the subject matter here. All these sculptures of dudes wrestling throughout, hundreds, over 1,000 years of history. It's always so like immaculate and clean and smooth. There's never any sweat.
Yeah.
There's never any goo of any kind. This one's pretty gooey.
Well, okay. So speaking of sweat and goo, first off, this is the replica, the wax replica is based on the sculpture, The Abduction of the Sabine Women. And it is a sculpture from the 1500s by Giambologna. You will also see this sculpture with the name The Rape of the Sabine Women. It is proper either way, but the rape is a direct translation.
From Latin?
Yeah. So, but at the time when created, rape was like this translated word was a common way to refer to as abduction. Like that was its more like actual meaning. So that's why you see it both ways. And it depicts the story of Rome. They needed more women. And they tried to like broker a deal with like nearby Sabine. And they were like, no. And so they're like, fine, we're just going to go take them. And they like disguised themselves and went in for like this like spring festival and kidnapped people.
I have a lot of questions. First of all, what happened to all the Roman women? The ratio was just off?
It was because like this was shortly after Rome's founding. You know, like those towns, like those fracking towns in North Dakota where there's like a ratio of like one woman for every 100 men.
I've heard. I've never been to one.
Me neither.
But it sounds like I won't have much reason to go to one.
No.
Either.
So that's like what was going on here. It was just like they just didn't have a lot of ladies yet. And so they did this whole like mass kidnapping scheme. And this is a very notable statue. So you can see that the Roman guy, he is like trampling over the Sabine man, and he is like wrestling this kind of like woman, this Sabine woman, in his arms to like carry her off.
I think it's important to note here that when we were describing the wax piece a moment ago, the dump truck ass in question is that of the Roman guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, the abductor, the rapist.
The abductor is the dump truck ass holder. So this sculpture is located just off of the Piazza della Signoria in Florence. And you and I have actually seen this sculpture in person when we were in Florence. I honestly didn't have that much of a memory of it because it's located a few feet away from my favorite sculpture that I put a picture that I took here. It is Benvenuto Cellini's Perseus with the head of Medusa. And when I just could not take my eyes off of the sculpture when we saw it in Florence, that I kind of glanced at the abduction of the Sabine women. I was like, yeah, great.
That's a lot of viscera.
Let's talk about the viscera and the goo. And this has nothing to do with this. I always love sharing some of my favorite art on this show. You want to describe this sculpture?
Yeah, it's, I guess, Perseus, totally naked except for I think he has a helmet, stepping on and standing over the body of what I assume is Medusa. Her head's been severed. There's all sorts of stringy stuff cast in, what is this, bronze or something? Cast in metal coming out of her neck. And Perseus is holding her head, which has also got a bunch of stringy stuff dripping out of it into a nice little ice cream cone over his head. And he's looking down at her body and everyone. He just killed Medusa. Yeah.
I also just love that the setting this is in. The Piazza della Signoria is a super famous piazza in Florence. It is right off the Uffizi Museum, which is a world famous art museum. And you just have all of these like tourists and people sitting right in front of this incredibly gruesome sculpture.
Yeah, and the image you put up here, it is people just on their phones, eating pizza, a bunch of tourists just, if this sculpture were at all real, they would have viscera dripping on their pizza.
The splash zone. They would be in the splash zone.
It's like a Gallagher concert. They're in the splash zone. Yes. They need the tarp.
Yes. So sorry about that quick aside. I just wanted to talk about that in context of like, it's a few feet down from where the abduction of the Sabine women is. But also in the square.
Sorry, there's also like in that image, a guy selling like little light up toys for tourists, just casually looking very bored.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like,
I don't know, seemed relevant to what we were discussing.
I like the little pose I caught him in. He's like very pensive, you know.
You need some tchotchkes to go with your beheading.
Yep. The other reason I wanted to talk about like the Piazza della Signoria and where is because Urs Fischer also in 2017 he had a show in this piazza. So very, very circular. I like how he's showing work that is not the wax sculpture of the abduction of the Sabine women. He's showing other work, but they're also like his wax sculptures and some of his larger sculptures. So, you know, we have like the two Tuscan men wax sculptures. These are men who are, their skin is red and they're dressed in suits. And one of the images I put up here, he's on like a tall pedestal, but he's facing away. So you can't see that he's like kind of just staring down at his phone, which I love in conjunction with what we just talked about with the Medusa head sculpture is like, you know, you have all these people sitting around this plaza kind of like on their phone. And then you have this really big sculpture that's kind of more in the middle called Big Clay Number 4. Can you describe Big Clay Number 4?
Big Clay Number 4 looks kind of like that abduction of the Sabine women.
Yeah,
sculpture,
it's got that same movement going on.
Reduced to more abstract, chunky forms where you don't really see a human form, but having just looked at the abduction of the Sabine women sculpture, it's hard not to see that in here because it's got really the same gestural qualities. And it seems like it's made out of metal or something, but looks more like, kind of 20th century cubism in terms of the way like the body's been abstracted.
Yeah, it looks like somebody with like middle talent got told, make the abduction of the Sabine women out of a lot of clay in 5 minutes, go.
Here's some Sculpey.
Yeah, have fun. And what I chose this picture on the right here because you can actually see in the background the abduction of the Sabine women sculpture.
Oh, so it was actually.
Like, I don't know if that is what he's referencing, but I think that is, I think that is an interesting observation. I think that like, yeah, his sculptures, they're, it's always hard to say what an artist is thinking about when they're making work. And then that's why I like to show in this podcast how circular all of this tends to be, how because it all feeds into kind of the same ecosystems an artist is working for and their references. And even if it's not happening on a conscious level, is there something subconscious going on?
I mean, was this piece site specific? Was it made for this location?
I can't remember.
So
I know it's been shown elsewhere.
Regardless, it's put here and meant to be in conversation with the pieces around it. So there is, whether in its creation or in the curation and, the way the exhibition is managed, there's some intentionality there.
I will say, like, what we're going to look at next, when working in these, like, with these large clay sculptures and similar ones, I do believe that Fischer is referencing human form as evidenced by, does this look familiar, Simon?
Yeah.
You've seen it.
I mean, are you referring to the sculpture or
Both.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is there are two images. Look like they're in a lobby or a museum. Is this in Chicago?
This is in the lobby of the Fontainebleau Hotel in Las Vegas.
Right. I saw it recently.
Yeah.
But there's this giant sculpture that looks a lot like the one I was just describing, where it's like this kind of super abstracted human, like gestural form. This one is gold, and then there seems to be a second figure that's silver. Again, looking like that abduction of the Sabine women sculpture. Behind it,
the clay number 4, clay number 4.
No, but like the shape, the gestures look like I'm still thinking of the one figure hoisting the women up, but the other one being trampled by him.
Yeah.
Behind that is what looks like a painting, but in this case might be a print. I think I see several panels like stitched together here of what looks like a deviled egg wearing a multicolored wig.
Yep. These are both Urs Fischer's pieces. And yes, we saw them in October when we stayed at the Fontainebleau.
We so fancy.
I know. Get yourself friends who work in hotel management, people. And
you're not going to say it's your mom?
My mom did it. My mom's my friend.
Okay.
So this sculpture is called the Lovers Number 3. And it was finished in 2023, constructed specifically for the Fontainebleau's collection. It is made of cast aluminum, stainless steel, and gold leaf, and it is 2,600 feet tall. That's too tall, right?
Yeah.
That's impossible.
That's like halfway up.
There must be a decimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not possible. That's like Mariana's Trench level deep.
Yeah, no.
And it's tall. Yeah, it was made for this lobby of the hotel. And then next to it, there's the painting called The Eye. That's the deviled egg painting. One big question I have is Lovers Number 2 is accounted for in Mexico. I have no idea where Lovers Number 1 is. And if you know, please call me. Please let me know where Lovers Number 1 is. I could not find any evidence that it ever existed.
Maybe it's like that old joke about like a senior prank one would do in high school of releasing like 3 pigs labeled 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, right.
So they're always searching for the
number 3.
Yeah, that's what's going on here.
Yep.
This painting, the deviled egg one, looks like it would fit right in place with some of the art we talked about in Problemista.
And that's what I want to talk about.
Looks like egg with a pearl earring.
So not only, is it, it's even in like the Tasson's Gourmand book we talk about in that, like it's heavily featured in there. I think like the naming construction is so similar to the construction of like shy egg and like intellectual egg. They're called like half a problem, historic problem, innocent problem. And it's Urs Fischer's problem paintings is what the larger collection is called. But these in particular are made of celebrity stock photos plus eggs, photographed eggs.
Like, yeah, hard-boiled, sliced in half eggs over their faces.
Yep.
Who's sloppy problem?
Sloppy problem. Oh, yeah. Serious problem, real problem. It's a part of his ongoing series of giant old Hollywood headshots that have been obstructed by a whole bunch of things besides eggs, like cigarette butts and bananas. And it's just a way that like Fischer likes to use these kind of like organic materials or things that are prone to like expiration or change, like wax, bread, eggs, fruit, things like that in his work.
Things that become goo over time.
Things that goo, yes. This is another one of the problem paintings that don't involve egg. This one is. Do you know who that is?
No, but as a banana phobe, I have a hard time looking at this image.
Yeah. It's even I'm not a banana phobe, and like I have a hard time looking at this image. It's like a banana that has been like cut in like at the quarter mark, and like there's like banana goo coming out of each end, and then it's like looks like the two pieces have been zip tied together and then laid over this guy's face, who I'm pretty sure is like an old Hollywood celebrity. I just don't know who it is.
Looks like a newscaster or
yeah,
like a silver-haired, slightly leathered face, twinkling blue eyes celebrity, Hollywood celebrity, or news guy. Yeah, this looks like someone took an overripe banana, cut it in half, and then decided, wait, that was a mistake, and then zip tied it back together.
They were like, I have to fix this.
And then it's just over this guy's face.
And the way that like the banana goo is coming out like over his mouth is like makes him look like he has a growth on his face, which I really don't enjoy.
Looks like his sticking his tongue out, like he has a cartoon tongue sticking out at you.
Yeah, it's weird. Also, Urs Fischer will say like, don't pay attention. You shouldn't really be paying as much attention to the face in the background. All the interesting stuff is in the foreground.
That's the part that he painted? No.
I think he just finds more interest in like the organic materials. And
yeah. But I'm curious then why the background? Like there's a statement there with like saying that of like here's celebrity, here's old timey, like at this point, 75-year-old celebrity in the background, which we're used to seeing and looking at, and here's a gross zip-tied banana, and then saying that's the interesting part. Like that's where the art comes in right there, right?
Yeah, I will say in like reading up on Fischer, like he in interviews he's very coonsy, and he'll be like, nah, it doesn't mean much.
I was into bananas that day, and I had this photo lying around.
Yeah, and I these celebrities, it don't mean much. I just like making art. Stop trying to make it complicated. I like his work better than I like Koons's work, but like he's got that same pop art attitude.
Sure, yeah.
Of like, yeah, I just like it. Whatever. So we're not going to find out too much.
That egg on your face.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? That's the titular problem.
Yeah.
Or banana on your face.
Banana on your face.
I would rather have egg on my face than banana.
I wouldn't. I'm vegan.
Cool.
But yes, I understand your phobia. Anyway, it's not real. It's just art.
Oh, good.
Yeah. In case you were concerned that somebody might. Yeah. Yeah, that's like kind of like wanted to take you on a tour of like Urs Fischer and who he actually was, since Meta didn't bother to tell us.
Well, there's only so much you can say in a 30-second
I know.
TV spot.
But don't do it.
You know how expensive those seconds are?
Just don't do it. That's the option that you have. Don't do this idea. It's a bad idea. There's nothing funny about 3 Krises in an art gallery, home art gallery. It makes me so mad. It doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying I disagree, but I am saying that Kris is here to tell you what's funny.
I am. Also,
and what's art and what's not art.
It's just like all of those commercials like have gotten maybe this has always been the case, but I feel like commercials have gotten worse and worse about not making sense.
Have they? Because
probably not.
like
I'm probably just old man yelling at cloud.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I remember seeing a lot of commercials as a child and being like, that makes no sense, but I'll probably understand later when I'm older and wiser.
No, you're a dumb kid.
Yeah, that too.
You're a stupid little idiot.
I went to public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a disadvantage.
Yeah. But, I think that there's no evidence that I can possibly point to that I have at hand, but I would say commercials have stayed the same amount of stupid. They just adapted to the current version of being dumb.
What was that dumb commercial we were looking at?
She asked in the episode about what she thinks is a dumb commercial.
Okay. No, here's the evidence I have for they've gotten really stupid and are dumb. So it's that commercial where like the guy, it's some celebrity. It's like, is it Owen Wilson? Maybe it's somebody else. I can't remember. He goes to like dine to eat somewhere, and they put him outside where it's raining, and then they're like, he like never gets his order taken or something like that, and the whole ad is for like Open Table or something that's like, you need AI so you don't put Owen Wilson outside in the rain. And it's like, what are you talking about? This commercial makes no sense. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, because I've heard other people talk about it.
Because you went on the internet and did what I always do, which is, I'm mad about this thing. I type in a description of it into Google or ChatGPT or whatever and say stupid at the end of it.
Yeah, I have a bunch of screenshots
just to see people who agree with me
of this. I have a bunch of screenshots of people who went to the YouTube to be like,
for the Super Bowl ad?
Yeah, for the Super Bowl ad, who say, I just came here to make sure that other people agree with me that this is stupid.
And that's the beauty of the internet, and I've read it, and it's also why it is a catalyst for the downfall of society.
Yeah,
you can find whatever
true.
you want, whatever opinion you want, it can agree with you. If you want to talk about aliens, not having aliens being here for sure, but not having an agenda, I've got a community for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, here's an internet comment I loved on the YouTube. I don't know what's worse, these dork-ass frames or the commercial.
So Kris just pulled up a screenshot from her iCloud folder, and I have to ask you, Kris, is this folder related to the show, or do you just keep a screenshot folder of people agreeing with you on the internet?
No, it's for the show,
okay,
I swear.
Okay, yeah.
And also somebody posting, just wanted to verify this ad is trash. I was not let down.
And that person got 70 thumbs up on on whatever that is.
In internet currency. So anyway, ads suck. Worse, I think. Anyway, they don't make sense anymore. But now I want to talk about another artist that we see in this first commercial, and that is Carmen Herrera. So it's the kind of blue and red piece in the first commercial. We don't get like that good of a look at this piece, but it is in the background, and it is this like blue and red, really graphic hard edge piece that is actually two pieces because it's a diptych.
So what you're showing me is, it looks like, I would say it looks like it's a flag. It's a painting, but it's a kind of flag shaped landscape. It is it's 3 horizontal kind of equally sized bars. Top one is blue, middle one is orange, bottom one is blue again. And then it's got kind of a diagonal slash that seems like it's cutting it in half, but as Kris pointed out, it's a diptych. It's 2 pieces that are hung very close together with maybe an inch or 2 between them. So it seems like one piece. Yeah,
if you were just looking at a flat image without any context, you would think maybe it was just like a white stripe running through it at a slightly diagonal angle, but it is actually like the canvas is in 2 pieces. So Carmen Herrera is a Cuban-American artist who was not discovered until age 89 after painting full-time for more than 60 years.
Yeah, impressive.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool.
You're looking at me like our cat does when she's like, I did something that you hate. Don't you want to respond to it?
Don't you want to respond? earlier in her career, she did have some like big museum shows and stuff, but she wasn't selling anything, which to me is so weird. Like she didn't really get like discovered, and her career didn't really take off until she made her first big sale. And then not long after, she joined Listen, which is a huge blue chip gallery.
Do you know how the first sale happened?
I don't. I read an interview with her in The Guardian where they said that like her work was discovered in the trash. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then could not find much of anything about that.
Sounds like the plot of another Meta Ray-Ban commercial.
It does, yes. Maybe a better one. And, after that, then she had a retrospective at the Whitney, which is like that's your big career maker.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
The Whitney
from the trash to the Whitney.
Yeah, being a museum in New York City, contemporary art museum.
They have one of the big biennials.
Yep. One reason I really like Carmen Herrera is there's this Guardian interview that I read with her where she says, they're talking about like, was it rough being a woman in like the 1950s, 60s, like as an artist? And she said, years ago, somebody called Rose Freed had a very avant-garde gallery in New York and said she was thinking of giving me a show. Then I went back to the gallery and she said, Carmen, you can paint circles around the men artists that I have, but I'm not going to give you a show because you're a woman. I felt as if somebody had slapped me in the face. I felt for the first time what discrimination was. It's a terrible thing. I just walked out. But anyhow, she's dead now. I love her. So good. She's also old as shit when she died and still painting. She died in 2022 at the age of 106.
Damn.
Like she was still very active in her like later years. I just think like, dang, what a cool person, And then I was watching the Whitney's video about the retrospective they did with her, and something that the curator mentioned is like, with her work, you really need to see a lot of it at once. And I totally agree. Like this like one isolated image in this ad, it just like, it's fine. But like,
sure, yeah.
When you see more of her work together, things start making a lot more sense as a collection. So I put in here a few of her pieces that like spanning her career. So this first image here is called Iberic 1949. And I really like these early works of hers. You can see like kind of where this work is leading, but it's still not her like the thing she becomes known for. Same with this image in the middle that's untitled Habana series from 1950. She's way more interested in like organic and bimorphic forms at this time. Before the piece that we see in the gallery in this commercial, that's really like the iconic Carmen Herrera pieces. In addition to doing like these paintings, she's also doing sculptures, which are just called estructura. In this case, the green sculpture we see is called Estructura Verde. The date I saw was 1966/2018. Not really sure what that means.
Maybe it was like updated or shown again at that time. That one really looks like the diptych you showed from the ad, because that one was two pieces put together to look like one. This one is, it's like kind of two bright green cartoony L's with like the lower parts of like the L extended, but like folded together like they're 10 grams or something to make one block. But there is this space, this cleavage between them. That is, it's not uniform, but you can see through it. Like you can see the scene around the sculpture, like the buildings behind it through that space. Yeah. And I love how her work like translates, especially like the later work that she becomes known for, translates so easily to sculpture in that way. Like you get to see these like ideas come to life in 3D. And this piece is located outside of LACMA in LA. We might have seen it. I don't remember seeing it, but maybe. Yeah.
Don't know when it was installed. So, I mean, that's all I have on Carmen Herrera. If you enjoy her work, I think there are contemporaries like Virginia Jaramillo. She does similar hard edge work, but with more organic forms and like thin lines, but that are kind of like take you on more of an amble through the piece, I would say.
As opposed to the bold blocks that we have right here.
Yeah, I mean, Carmen Herrera is known for like, she loves the ruler. She loves the straight line. And I feel like Virginia Jaramillo has this like very similar thing going, but with just the lines curve but they still have this very graphic quality to them. And then, there are people like Mondrian that's like going way back, but like that's going to be kind of an original, like somebody working in those like graphic spaces who would have informed people like Carmen Herrera's work later. Joseph Albers working a little earlier than her would be somebody good to look at.
You mentioned Mondrian. If you're into that, look into the style art movement, the Dutch kind of cubist-like designy, painting movement from the 20th century.
Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of Cold Crit. My name is Kris.
And I'm Simon. Subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube for access to slide videos of all of our shows where you can see images of the work we're talking about. Or you can find audio versions on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And, you can leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at, we're recording this before we actually have.
We'll do it later.
So, I don't know, Cold Crit, something. We'll figure it out. That's not important right now. And you can support us on Patreon. At a URL that will it's going to be linked at untitledpod.art, which will be forwarded. We're doing this. It's going to be forwarded. So you can always go to untitledpod.art if you really feel like following us on Instagram. We'll have it all updated there. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can find us there. Everything will be linked. Our theme music is by Layers and Layers. And that'll do it for this week. Goodbye.
Bye.
It's fine.